expression, okay? You have to be able to do this to identify. You look at gene expression through these gene chips, and this really is one of the big keys because you can do a lot in a short amount of time. This particular chip says citrus genome array. All the genes that make an orange are on that chip. When we do it with people, the entire 25,000 human genes is on that chip. Then, once you have that, and you look at which genes, these are all genes that the cell is expressing or not expressing, you have to have a computer to analyze all that data and tell you the intensity of expression to know if it's a highly expressed or a less expressed gene. And that's what produces this heat map. So this is Joe Chang, our Chief Scientific Officer, his heat map before he took Age-Lock Vitality and 15 days after. This is looking at 1,400 genes, and I'm not telling you so you need to explain it to anyone. I'm telling you so I think it helps you to understand when you see these different kinds of diagrams. Red is upregulated, really hot. We use red because it's a hot color. That means a lot of gene expression. Blue is colder. It means downregulated, less gene expression. Yellow's in the middle. So you can see, if you pick out a little gene right here, because there's 1,400 little lines here, and each one's a gene. Pick one out, and it's red. That one's been turned down now to yellow. This yellow gene was moderately expressed. Now it's turned way down to blue. This little band that's blue has been turned way up to red. Understand how this goes? So it's a modulation. So when we do it, the whole human genome, see, look, it says human genome. Take that, and that's what this looks like now. This is 25,000 genes. It's a bunch of little dots when you do the experiment. Computer analyzes. You have to know which are the youth genes. You see that? So I could hand anyone that chip and go, okay, find the youth gene cluster. You have to have done that 30 years of research to know that answer. And then it makes one of these. And it costs around $10,000 to run this one time. So you also need a ton of money to do this because every time you test an Age-Lock product, you've got to go through this process, okay? So when they did skin, we found 4 youth gene clusters. And look at, there's over 60 genes to that one, skin structure, there's over 20 for pigment, cell turnover, there's many, 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 many genes. So there's no such thing as an aging gene. There's a balance that's gotten out of balance that needs to be put back into balance. And it's like a symphony, you know, I've used that example, but you want different instruments in the symphony to be at a certain balance. And you don't just turn up every instrument, you know. There's a time when the French horn comes in. It comes in quietly and it builds. And you know, there's a dance to this. So it's not turn up all your aging genes or anti-aging. It's not how it goes. It's a balance. And that's what produced transformations. The youth gene clusters are able to be reset on the skin. And if people say to you, well, you're messing with the DNA, I hope you understand better now. You're not touching the blueprint. You're telling the youth gene clusters to express themselves as young. And whatever the person that's concerned is putting on their face or using as soap is changing their gene expression. They just don't know how. And they don't even know if it's in a good way. So it's wrong thinking to say we're doing something different than anyone else. What is right is that we know what we're doing, and we're targeting the youth gene clusters to express themselves youthfully. And they've also found that in the facial gels, youth gene clusters are being reset too, in addition to slowing down AR-NOx, which is another really neat aside that I threw in because I just thought you'd think that was cool. You have to know which are age-related genes. Do you understand that? Can anyone else do this? No one else even knows what they are, much less resetting them. Why do you think we're selling $10 million in no time? I mean, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Once you find the youth gene clusters, then through these gene modulation experiments, they literally go through products and go, cordyceps, What does that do to the genes, you know? And then which part of the cordyceps? And you have to keep running these experiments because their extraction processes are experimentally chosen. Okay? But you can see how no one else can do that because you cannot experimentally choose products if you don't know what the youth genes are and you don't know how to run those experiments. So that's when someone tells you they're taking something already, it's not made with this knowledge. I'll go into that more in a bit. And then resetting is a whole nother level. You need to reset the balance of the youth gene clusters. See, it's a balance. Genes that accelerate aging need to be turned down. They need to be down-regulated, it's called. Genes that preserve youth need to be up-regulated. It's a balance. So this is how you would do, you know, one of their gene modulation experiments. You need to have the chip for the youth. You need to know the youth gene cluster, okay? And they use 6, but there's actually way more. Mitochondria has 52. You experimentally try a product and then see what it does, but you need to reset. So gene number 2 needs to be turned down for youthful expression. 5 and 1 need to be turned up. 3 and 6 need to be in the middle. You understand the complexity of this, and it's way more than 6. So we have 14 patents now that are in multiple countries. You know, we're building a wall of protection around this data too, and there's a way to do it. So LifePak, you have a better idea now how critical nutrition is. Just from that one mouse experiment alone with the agouti mouse, B vitamins made a massive difference. And LifePak gives you all of what you need for all of your cells to do the jobs they do. You know, some people have questioned it. Some doctors have questioned the need for vitamins. And, you know, would you put gasoline in, would you put water in the car and expect it to run? You know, I mean, it's really that simple. Cells are, they have, you know, they're basically biochemical machines in a sense. You know, I'm talking consciousness aside, but they need the nuts and bolts to do best. So a person on LifePak will do even better on vitality than someone not, because their cells have what they need to optimize the use of vitality. And then by resetting youth gene clusters and having this knowledge, you can make a vitality product. And then, as some of you may know, we're calling health span, which means we want to extend people's lives in a healthy way. We're not just attempting to make people live longer. You know, in some ways, it's not that hard when you develop the right drugs. We want people to be healthy and live long. And what that's called is health span. And 1 year, we're going to release our first health span extending supplement. And it's just the beginning of the pipeline. I mean, this is, when you think about it, it's mind-blowing. We really do have the fountain of youth in our hand. So LifePak, I'll just do a real quickie. You have in here the vitamins, minerals in here, phytonutrients here. This is all your fat-soluble things. Like, you know, I've said if oil and water is together, they separate. So these guys would dissolve in water. These guys are fat-soluble. In there is going to be your nano-CoQ10, your nano-carotenoids, fish oil, krill oil. Okay, all the fat-soluble in a very highly deliverable form. And you have nutritional support for every organ, every body system. LifePak is amazing, and I could do a longer talk sometime on LifePak. You want to take twice a day. I keep driving this home because the things like vitamin C and the ones that stay in the bloodstream more need to happen twice a day because it has a certain peak in your bloodstream and it starts to drop off. You need to take that second LifePak to have another raise in the concentration, and then that falls off. That's how you get 24-hour-a-day protection. You're not getting 24-hour-a-day protection if you take LifePak only once a day, and that's what it's designed to do. And you know, the stories are amazing. You know, there are scientific studies that show it raises your biophotonic skin carotenoid score, and that's all science studied, and there's a guarantee 2 months your score goes up or your money back. But people are reporting more energy, less sickness, better sleep, autoimmune things going down, you know, lowering You know, it's not a medical claim, it's stories. You know, people are healing from psoriasis on LifePak, and you know, it's not claimed, but it's happening. So then you get into, you know, our newest gem, Vitality. So now we're taking the transformations, the wisdom of ageLOC, and using that algorithm I described to you to go inside the body now. And this is the first of many. And there's obviously a huge need for it. I went through this earlier, so I won't go through this much, but most people either need more energy, need to concentrate or have more cognitive abilities, or more sexual desire. One of those three, or all of them, apply to everyone that Christine and I certainly have talked to, and he has talked to. And so you get three dimensions with Vitality: physical, mental, and sexual. And we know at the convention in like a week now, we're going to have the first cognitive study come out, where they're literally showing increased cognitive abilities over time. It's like a 12-week study with very good results on cognitive improvement on Vitality. These are mitochondria. They're called organelles. They're, you know, each of these is called an organelle because they're really like the organs of a little cell. You know, basically a cell is like a little person in terms of everything your body does, the cell has to do too. Okay? And these are the energy guys. They're the power plants of the cell. And, you know, I keep using this analogy that Joe uses. You can have the most awesome laptop in the world. You can have the most awesome car in the world. Without a battery, you can't start it. Laptop needs power to run. So, you know, the first thing Nu Skin did was repower the cells. The cells know what to do. We saw that. You take a dystrophic cell and put it in a normal environment. So once you give them the energy, they know what to do with that energy. And that's what's so different about what we're doing. It's not a stimulant. It's not artificial energy. It's not affecting the adrenals. It's called, here, cell, I'm going to tell you to make your vitality, make your mitochondria young, and you do what you know to do with that energy. And that's all obviously anthropomorphized. That may help you understand. They make the ATP. Mitochondria make most of the ATP, which is basically the chemical molecule that carries energy for all your biochemistry in your body. But with age, the mitochondria become less efficient and they drop in numbers. And that's the functional changes have been related to age-related vitality loss. Brain have a ton of them. Heart has a ton of them. The muscle has a ton because they use so much energy. You know, your brain needs a lot of energy. So does your heart, your muscles. And so those are right now the primary targets of vitality. So now